shamefully on you, shamefully. If in your heart there is no regret, if in their heart there is no pain and anger against those who committed this act against that elderly sheikh who was a learned scholar of Islam, I say to you, wait until you go in your grave, and then you will learn to your surprise that you have no Iman at all. None. Not even the weakest of all. Because if you had even the weakest amount of Iman, you detest it in your heart. And so, attacks on the Christians of Syria, we can expect it. Who are these Christians? We know that there are two kinds of Christians in the world. There was Rome, and when Allah sent down the verse of the Quran, غُلِبَتِ الرُّومِ, He was referring to Constantinople, to the Byzantine Eastern Christian Empire. But then, I think it may have been about 100 years or so after the Quran came down, that there was a split, a schism, and part of that empire, part of that Christian world broke away and went and formed their headquarters in the Italian city of Rome, from where Rome had emerged in the first place to move to Constantinople. And then came the Roman Catholic Church. And so you have Western Christians and Eastern Christians. It is the Eastern Christians that Allah is referring to, the ones who remain in Constantinople, when He spoke about Rome. And Nabi Muhammad ﷺ said that we will make an alliance with Rome. These are the people, and I know that our Turkish brothers and sisters are becoming increasingly angry with me when I point out that the Ottoman Empire was consistently at war with Rome, particularly with Russia. You have to prove to me that in every instance that the Ottomans took up arms against Rome, they were doing so in a manner which conformed with the Sharia of Islam, which prohibits offensive warfare, prohibits aggression, prohibits the use of jihad to expand a territory. Not at all, not in Islam. We never fight except in response to aggression or to remove oppression. We never fight unless it be in response to aggression or to remove oppression. And there's a methodology for the removal of oppression, but we don't have the time to discuss that today. And so Rome is Russia today. And we're going to make an alliance with Rome, said the Prophet ﷺ. Yes, I know that the hadith goes on to say many other things, but it does say, you cannot deny it, that we are going to make an alliance with Rome, and Rome is Russia. If Rome is not Russia, hatu burhanakum. Come on, bring your proofs. And let us argue the question in a very civilized way, in a scholarly way. Rome is in the Quran, and therefore it is from the Quran that we must first derive our definition of Rome. And Rome in the Quran is Constantinople, and Constantinople has moved to Russia. If we are to form an alliance with Rome, then it is with the Eastern European Christians that we're talking about. And the Christians in Syria belong to Rome, not to the Roman Catholic Church. Most of them belong to Rome. There may be some who have their alliance with the Roman Catholic Church, but they are, I believe, in a minority. And so if these Christians are attacked and slaughtered in Syria, it will provoke a response from Russia. This can be one of the ways, one of the sinister and shameful ways that Russia can be baited. The other way, of course, is for a full-scale launch, a full-scale Turkish attack launched on Syria. And then when Turkey launches an attack on Syria, because Syria and Iran have a defense treaty, Iran will now be also part of the war, and Iran will attack Turkey. And it will only be a matter of time, I believe, will Russia will be drawn into the war. And so today, we want to send a message from Islamic eschatology to Russia. and to remind Russia that the Bolshevik revolution did not happen by accident. No. It was part and parcel of a diabolical planning that was meant to stab Russia in the back, and you know what I'm talking about. On the eve of the First World War, they planned for you. From the front door, Britain and France reached out to Russia for an alliance. Britain and France had already made an alliance. And then when they convinced Russia to join the alliance, it became the Triple Alliance. Or was it called the Triple Entente, I believe.
After the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia in an effort to exert control over the Balkans. What was supposed to be a short and limited war between two countries having a dispute quickly escalated into a conflict few could have expected. At this time, Serbia enjoyed an alliance with powerful Russia. Because of this, the Austro-Hungarian government looked to their German ally for support in the case that Russia should become involved. Sure enough, after mobilizing its army in defense of Serbia, Germany declared war on Russia on August 1, 1914. However, as well as a fight with Russia, Germany and Austria-Hungary were also up against the rest of the Triple Entente. The Triple Entente was the name given to the alliance between France, the United Kingdom, and Russia. By August 4, 1914, all three countries of the Triple Entente had declared war on Germany, and by extension were also at war with Austria-Hungary. When the United Kingdom entered the war, her colonies and dominions all became involved to different degrees. This brought Australia, Canada, India, New Zealand, and South Africa into the fray. Also based on its military agreement with Britain, Japan joined the conflict on August 23, 1914. At first, Italy declared a policy of neutrality despite their connections to both Germany and Austria-Hungary by treaty. Italy claimed that because the actions of its allies were offensive, it did not have to respect obligations to either. Instead, the country joined the Triple Entente in war against Germany and Austria-Hungary the following year.
But part and parcel eventually of that which was used to bait Russia, to lure Russia into the alliance, was the perception of the Ottoman Empire being on its last legs. The Ottomans had been beaten in the Balkans, and they were now vulnerable because of the loss of the European territories of the Ottoman Empire. Constantinople was vulnerable from a Bulgarian attack, for example. And because of that perception of weakness on the part of the Ottoman Empire, the sick man of Europe they called it, they felt that Ottoman Empire was ripe for the plucking. And so they offered Russia, if you will join with us in the alliance, then we will give you Constantinople. We'll allow you to get Constantinople. The whole of Rome had been longing to get back Constantinople since the Ottoman Sultan Muhammad Fatih had conquered Constantinople. And he had added salt to the wound of the loss of the capital city of Rome, Constantinople. He had added salt to that wound in what I declared to be a disgraceful act, and I have no need to change that word at all. I'm fully conscious of what I'm saying. I'm 71 years of age. I have spent my life in the study of Quran and the Hadith, in the pursuit of Islamic knowledge. And so I have some credentials to speak. And it is with full knowledge I say it was a disgraceful act to take Hagia Sophia, the foremost cathedral of Christendom, of Eastern Rome, and transform it into a masjid.
The best look at ancient Constantinople is a church-turned-mosque that's been considered among the greatest houses of worship in both the Christian and Muslim worlds. Hagia Sophia, the great church of Constantinople. Built by the Byzantine Emperor Justinian in the early 6th century on the grandest scale possible, it was later converted into a mosque by the conquering Ottomans. Today, it's a museum. Hagia Sophia, which marks the high point of Byzantine architecture, is the pinnacle of that society's 6th century glory days.
Disgraceful. And so that added salt to the wound. It created hatred in Eastern Europe and Russia, eternal hatred for Islam when you did such a thing. It's like a stab in the very heart of Eastern Europe, Rome. This is what they did. And so when Russia was offered Constantinople by Britain and France on the eve of the First World War, the Russians were very pleased to accept that offer. And then the First World War commenced on cue, as though it was pre-planned. In fact, it was pre-planned. When they had offered to you Constantinople through the front door, Russia, are you listening? Guess what they did through the back door? These people who are duplicitous in their conduct, who are deceptive, who speak with forked tongues. And Russia, remember that Israel has a PhD in deception. And Israel is going to act in precisely the same way that Britain and France acted. What they did was to attack Russia from the back door when the Russian troops were very close to Constantinople.
The reason for the change of heart was 1915's secret Treaty of London, which promised Italy significant territorial gains at Austria-Hungary's expense after the war had finished. The Ottoman Empire was pulled into the conflict after harboring German ships that went on to attack a Russian port.
And then, in order to prevent Russia from taking Constantinople, which they had offered you through the front door, what they did was to plan and to execute the Bolshevik Revolution the way that they planned and executed 9/11. There is research to be done, but I guess the Russians already know what I'm talking about. Eastern Europe knows already what I'm talking about. The connection, for example, between Wall Street and the Bolshevik Revolution. The connection, for example, between the Americans and the Siberian Railway to ensure that the Russian regime would not have the use of the Siberian Railway, and that the Bolsheviks would be able to use the railway to bring in troops and men.